Okay, so this video is about how to create a stacked bar chart to show the relationship between two categorical variables. Once again, I'm going to use the serial ad dataset that's in the Minitab sample data folder, looking at describing the relationship between whether or not you see the Healthy Plus ad and whether or not you purchase Healthy Plus cereal using a graph. And in this case, it's the stacked or cluster bar charts. Okay. The explanatory variable is whether or not you saw the ad in the last 30 days, and the response variable is whether or not you bought Healthy Plus cereal. So the procedure we're going to use is graph bar chart. Okay. So let me start there. We're going to go graph bar chart. Here's where we're going to use counts of unique values because that's exactly what we have. We have raw data. We can pick cluster or stacked. It's a little bit of your choice in this case. I'm going to show you stacked first and then show you that it really doesn't matter in terms of which picture you take. So let me get some notes for you here. We're going to pick the stack to start with. Say OK. You need to pick the variables. Now, it says here that it's categorical variables, outermost first. So the explanatory variable should be outermost. So you want to pick the explanatory variable followed by the response variable. Okay, so explanatory followed by the response. That's the first thing about this. Okay. The next thing you want to look at, and so actually let me get a cut of this so that we have it for your notes. Are some of the options we want to look at. Okay. Chart option 1 is the idea that we want to show it as a percent. It doesn't help to compare numbers because the sample sizes might be much different. So you need to show Y as a percent, and we want it as row percentages. And so remember, row, explanatory variable, row outermost. And so that is an important check, particularly when the sample sizes are different sizes. So let me get a cut of this and put it over here in your notes. Okay. So that's okay. Scale. So once again, if you'd rather have your bars going horizontal rather than vertical, you could certainly change that there. I'm not going to worry about it now. Labels, if you want to put some titles on it, that's fine. Data view, we're going to do bars, so that's good. Multiple graphs, we don't have to worry about multiple graphs. Data options, now data options, you should go to group options and deselect this in case there's missing data, because once again, missing data doesn't help us understand the relationship between the variables. Okay, so I'm going to just remind you that we use that for missing data. Okay, in which case then we're ready to go. We can say OK and OK, and we get a graph that has the data. So I'm going to just stick a copy of the graph right now in Word, but we're going to talk about what we have to change. Okay, so we certainly would like a title that's a little bit better. So this is the relationship between advertising and cereal purchase for Healthy Plus. Okay. I can see that this says view ad no and yes, so that's good. The explanatory variable should be creating these two bars. I'm going to change this so that this makes a little bit more sense. So I double-clicked on View Ad, went to Labels, and I'm going to specify, the no and yes are okay. I'm going to specify the title, though. Saw Healthy Plus Ad. Okay, so no and yes. All right, the other thing we want is probably that this percentage sentence matches kind of up here. And so I'm going to edit that as well. The percentage is within levels of whether or not they viewed the ad. So that'll change this to be a little bit better. Okay, the next thing you probably want to change are these zeros and ones up here. To do that, you have to be careful with your clicking. So I usually click until I get it, right? So I got the one highlighted. Now I'll double click and I can change this. So this would be bought Healthy Plus. And this would be bought other cereal. And this would be type of cereal bought. Actually, if I change that to type of cereal bought, I could probably make these a little clearer and just put Healthy Plus versus other. Okay, so I've got a good title here. This should be your response variable. This should be your explanatory variable. This should be your response variable. These bars should add up to 100% because once again we're saying within those people that did not buy the ad, what's the breakdown? Within these people that did see the ad, what's the breakdown? And if you let your cursor sit over there, you should see the numbers that'll show up as row percentages in your crosstab table. So 18.9 versus 44.1. Okay. So this would be your final graph, and so you could send that to Word. Okay. Now, suppose you don't like the stack graph. Suppose you want side-by-side graphs. You could do that as well. You can go up to Graph. You can come down here to Bar Chart. Instead of picking Stacked, pick Cluster. Cluster and side-by-side work together. Stacked and segmented are usually the two words that go together. So cluster, notice that the dialog box looks exactly the same. So explanatory variable first, followed by the response variable. Okay. You still have to make sure that in the chart options you pick percent within the categories. Okay. That gets us our row percents. We're going to say OK and OK. And you get this ad. You get this graph. Notice that once again this set of bars goes to view ad, so the explanatory variable should be on the bottom and the response variable closer to the axis. And if you notice, if you take this bar, and I'm going to leave my cursor there, you get the 18.9, here's the 44.1. If you stuck this bar on top of this one and this bar on top of this one, you would get the stacked bar chart. Okay, so once again you'd have to change this. If you want to change these labels, you can double click in here, go into the labels option. You can specify the axis labels as well as the tick labels. Okay, and you're set to go. All right, so once again I would change the title, advertising versus purchase of Healthy Plus. Come down here and do these. So I'm going to go to the labels and change these to no and yes. This one's already no and yes. I'm going to put bought Healthy Plus, and this one I'm going to change to saw Healthy Plus ad. Okay, and I'll make this read a little bit better. So percents within levels of whether or not they saw the Healthy Plus ad. Okay, so good title, everything's labeled nicely, good axis labels here, good percent title, and once again I can send that to Word. Okay, so when I look at my final document here, I'm going to remind you that as we're up here, here's the data set, here's the graph and bar charts. I'm going to get them to fit on one page here so that we can get them. we've got the pre-graph, we've got the post-graph, and then we've got the post-graph for the stacked bar chart. So that's how to make both the stacked and the cluster bar charts. Once again, if we're thinking about relationships, we're trying to figure out, is this pattern very similar to this pattern? Or if we've got the stacked, is this pattern similar to this pattern? If they're similar, no relationship. If they're different, there is a relationship. All right.